Okay, I'm good.
So I'm Rane Thomas, and I'm here to talk to you about being a good and valuable person. And being a good and valuable person means a lot of different things. It means you need to engage in certain behaviors to fulfill certain needs for yourself, for others, and for your society. And essentially, what it is we're all pursuing pleasure. We're no longer trying to satisfy our physiological needs. And so what we're focusing on, in one way or another, is pleasure. And Maslow described in his hierarchy of needs, we have 5 different tiers of things, and ends in self-actualization. But really, if you boil it all down and distill it, what you get is that we are pursuing pleasure. We're no longer trying to fulfill our physiological needs. And that's the great divide of it. Physiological needs and then pleasure. And we're not really trying to fulfill physiological needs. But to talk about physiological needs for a second, you get the first thing you don't do. And this is because humans have everything predicated on the fact that they're alive. All the behaviors that you engage in that bring you pleasure, and are thusly the things you want to do, are based on you being alive. And so, by extension, that means that being alive is the greatest asset you have as a human being. And that if you're not alive, you cannot engage in these behaviors, and you do not get pleasure. And so therefore, the greatest threat that you can ever pose to a human being is threaten their ability to survive or their livelihood. And that is one thing you do not do. You do not threaten somebody's ability to survive or their livelihood, unless you have clear and present cause, and doing so would further ethical and moral justice. Never, ever, ever, ever threaten someone, unless killing them and ending their existence on this planet would further moral and ethical justice. But then you come to our second set of needs, which are purely pleasure-based. And you can talk about whatever it is. You need love, you need companionship, you need self-esteem, you need to self-actualize. What it is, you're pursuing pleasure. We're all pleasure-pursuing people. But that means something. That means we're all greedy. You're greedy, I'm greedy, the world is greedy. It's neither positive nor negative, it just is. But what that means is that everyone is pursuing their own needs and desires. And so therefore, we need to engage in behavior called mutualism. And mutualism is a symbiotic relationship in which both people or both parties benefit. And the reason is this, because we all want things, right? And we all engage in behavior to accomplish these things. But what if we engage in behaviors together to accomplish a common goal? Or what if we worked on a quid pro quo basis, Latin for this, for that, or something for something, in which we both gained what we wanted? And that's what we need. Society needs that. Essentially, your lives are founded on mutualistic behavior. You're here in this classroom, at these tables, sitting on desks, and sitting in this building because of mutualistic behavior. This building would not have been built, and you would not receive food if it was not for humans' mutualistic behavior. What a lot of people don't get is that you're not in it just for yourself, as much as we'd like to think that. Because we're not filling physiological needs anymore. We're just pleasure seeking. And so we can do that so much better by engaging in mutualism. But then there's other things. And we don't purely act in our own self-interest. That's not quite it. Because humans are complicated. We really are. And so we don't always act purely in our own self-interest. Sometimes we just do things for other people because we do. And one of the most important things you can do for someone else is show your respect. And respect means a lot of things. It means that your right to exist on this earth is being recognized. Whatever you have to say, or whatever you're doing, or whatever you're accomplishing, means something to someone out there. And that is probably one of the most pleasurable things you will ever feel in your entire life. It's better than love, and it's better than self-actualization in many cases. Being respected is so important. So what you need to do is give people your respect. It doesn't matter who they are, what walk of life they hail from. Essentially, they want your respect, and you need to give it to them until they give you a reason not to. It better be a pretty heinous reason. But by engaging in respectful behavior, what we find is that we grant other people their esteem. And that's the fourth tier on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But by granting other people their esteem, what they find is that with this new esteem, they want to grant you yours. And so by engaging in behavior where we show respect, we get respect ourselves. We develop our own sense of self-esteem, which is positive. Again, it's pleasure-seeking. And so by being empathic and sympathetic, what we find is that we can engage in pleasure-getting activities like respect. And respect is usually seen as a one-way street, you know. You give it and then they appreciate it. That's not quite it. You give and you get. Again, it's quid pro quo, this for that. But that's not quite it. And that's not all human beings need to do. All the behaviors they need to do to be good and valuable people. The last two things they need to do are be useful and efficient. Now, usefulness is very important. Because usefulness determines why you are here and what you're doing. And why you're doing what you do. And if you're not useful, nobody wants to associate with you, because everyone wants their own desires fulfilled. And really, nobody's doing anything at any point in time, ever, that is not fulfilling their own desires, or at least trying to. And so what you find is that by being useful, people want you. And you can be useful in a lot of ways. You can have knowledge, you can have skill, you can have creativity. Or You just have to find a niche. And that's what it is. As organisms, we have to develop niches, just like everything else on the planet. And so by finding a niche, you'll find you'll actually become something interesting. You'll become wanted, in demand. And being in demand is probably one of the most survival-encompassing things that you could ever be. Because people who are in demand stay here. Because they're fulfilling a service for someone or a group of people that's valuable. That's valuable. A good and valuable person, be useful. You need to be useful. It doesn't matter what you do, you just need to be damned good at it. As Abraham Lincoln said, I don't care what you are, be a damn good one. And it's true, you need to be a good one. But of course, all the usefulness in the world is nothing without a bit of efficiency. Because human beings' lives are finite. We don't live forever. We're only here for 70, 80 years in developed countries maybe. And so we have to accomplish our goals, desires, and needs on time. So that means that we have a schedule. We have things we have to do, places we got to go, people we have to see. So therefore, you need to be efficient. You need to be able to accomplish things with your usefulness quickly and efficiently. You do things on time. Because you know what? The most useful person in the world that can never complete a task is worthless. And they will never be any good to anyone. And because they cannot fulfill others' desires, they will not fulfill their own. And they will die very unhappy, I can assure you. So you absolutely have to be efficient as well as useful. And so humans engage, to summarize, in a variety of behaviors as a result of basic human needs and desires. But essentially it is this. You have to be efficient. You have to be useful. You have to be respectful. And you never, ever, ever threaten another human being's existence unless you have probable cause. And in doing so, would further moral and ethical justice by killing them. And I'll leave you with this. We all make choices. But in the end, our choices make us.